Indeed, this has been a long time coming for this Belgian government to get into place, and we're actually here today in the European Parliament, which is bizarrely where they are going to be doing the sort of voting in of the new government, and that's because of coronavirus measures means that they can get more people here in the European Parliament than the normal Belgian Parliament. They've got a lot on their plate. There's been a long time without a permanent government, as you say. Now, I've got Willem van Mullen, who is a journalist with VRT News, the Flemish Belgian news here, to talk about this a little bit more. Willem, tell me, what has taken so long? Why does this take so long, and why do so many parties, 7, have to be involved in this coalition?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me this morning. Well, it's Belgian politics. So we've seen in recent years that it takes some time to get people around the table and form a coalition. If you look back at the elections of 2019, because we talk about years, it's almost 500 days after these elections. We see that on the northern side of the country, in Flanders, there was more right-wing, people voted more right-wing, and on the southern part of the country it was more green and left that people voted, and they had to put those two together. Well, it's not the first time that challenge had to be coped with, but this time it took so very long, and people always asked, within politics but also outside, that the two biggest parties, north and southern part of the country, formed a government together. That would have been then Parti Socialist on the southern part of the country and N-VA on the northern part of the country. This summer they almost managed to get a deal, but they didn't manage to get enough seats. Now today we have it without N-VA from the northern part of the country, and it is with 7 parties. It's called the Vivaldi coalition. Why? Because it's because of the 4 seasons of Vivaldi, and there are 4 parties because you have the liberals on both sides, so the Flemish and the French-speaking, and the socialists on both sides. You have the Greens on both sides, and you have CD&V, which is a Christian Democratic Party from the northern side of the country, from Flanders, and those 7 are going to make this deal.
It's an astonishing coalition, though, and there's going to be so many battles. Alexander De Croo is quite a well-known politician. He's been a minister around Brussels. He's quite well known in these parts, especially in European politics. What are his priorities going to be? What is he going to be able to do in Belgium?
Yeah, good question. If we look at his agreement, the deal of government, we see that obviously COVID-19 is going to be a top priority to have. How do we cope with this pandemic? There's also going to be huge investments in the Justice Department. There's also a very big social factor in this deal. Something they talk about a lot in the last weeks is the minimum pension, that they want to raise that to 2,500 euros for people. So there's a big social factor. There's also a very big green factor within this deal, and that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge, because we have 7 parties from very different political families, and everybody will need to have something to sell to their people and say, well, this is ours. And I think that's going to be for him quite a challenge to balance that and to make sure that everybody stays happy.